What's up? Welcome to the Unstuck Podcast. I'm your host, Drew Koss, and you are in the right spot. This is where we discuss real life, real problems with real people. You're going to get unstuck. Now, while you're at it, make sure you subscribe and share this with a loved one. Let's get ready to get unstuck. You ever get in a predicament where you reach out to help somebody to only find out that you're probably making that matter worse? Or how about someone reaches out to help you, and after they reach out to help you, you feel like the issue got worse? If that's you, come inside. Welcome to the Unstuck Podcast. We're going to talk about what people really need. Now, this is a subject that I think should be discussed more, and I think it should be discussed when people are calm. Why do I say that? Usually you find out what someone really needs from you in the heat of arguments or in the middle of battle. And we want to think about how do we express what we need in a calm manner so that it's received well, but more so that both parties can actually work on what needs to be worked on if they choose to. Now, I'm not saying that you're going to just go out today and you're going to meet all the needs of the world and you're going to do it in a perfect manner. That's not realistic, nor is that your burden to carry to go around and help the whole entire world. Now, I'll tell you a story, and it was a repeated story until I realized that I was actually making the problem worse because I wasn't understanding the underlying issue. Now, the underlying issue just means what's really happening underneath. Now, before we go deeper, if you have not subscribed to this channel, please do so, because you get to see and hear all of the episodes we make, but also you get to help us help more people with the message of getting unstuck in life. So every time my wife and I would get into I'll call it a heated debate, I would hear at first what she was saying, and I would try to schedule and fix what she was saying rather than finding out what was she, I don't want to say trying to say, but what was really the issue. Most of the times the issue wasn't what she was saying or she was saying initially. That was more so the stem of the problem, or that was more so the surface of what the problem was. Yes, it was a problem, but it wasn't the real thing. I'll give you an example. It was years ago, and I was a new father, and I don't know how I made it past this point because that was a rough season. So certain things I just wouldn't, it wasn't that I didn't care. Certain things I just wouldn't pay enough attention to. So when Aaliyah was born, my 4-year-old, Lion is my co-host, I would make sure she eats, make sure she has Pampers, make sure she has her basic necessities and things like that. But it was one time where Aaliyah was maybe about 1 or 2, and we didn't realize that her socks were getting when we would wash them, her socks would get eaten up, or they would get literally, for some reason it was blowing and her socks was ending up in the back of the dryer. So we kept thinking she kept losing the socks or whatever. And I had on some clean socks, and my wife, it was probably, okay, we'll go there. It was that time of the month. She was already frustrated, and I got it that day. So she goes, do you even care that your daughter doesn't have matching socks? And I was like, why would you say that? Of course I care that she has matching socks. Well, she's like, well, she hasn't had matching socks in a while. And I was like, cool, I'll go get the socks right now. And she said, it's not about the socks. It's about you caring enough when you see something to think about how can we fix it. It's not that I'm saying that you need to just see a problem and run to the store. It's about what's behind you not seeing it. And at first, I was defensive. I was like, what do you mean? You I care for my daughter, blah, 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 going wild. And when I realized it wasn't about the socks, it was more so about literally caring enough to see that. Now, my thought was, I'm going to help my wife by going to go get the socks. Her thought was, I want you to care enough inwardly, or care enough to see some of the things that you don't see. And a lot of it was based on me just moving so fast. And that was about 4 years ago. So I was like on every minute of the day must be grind. Every minute of the day must be, you have to be after it. And if that's you, I'm not against any of that. I'm not even going to go as far as to say that you should be calculating every single minute. If you choose to, cool. If you don't, that's cool too. But my thing was, I wasn't looking at it from a different lens. I was looking at it from hey, it's a problem right here, fix it. Problem right here, fix it. So I was literally cutting the branches versus finding out what was the root. And usually when we deal with people, when they're talking to us, the first initial conversations is literally them just telling us maybe the stem of what's happening. This happens a lot when you see somebody crying. You usually try to jump in and stop them from crying by giving them massive amounts of encouragement or massive amounts of just feel good talk, rather than seeing what might you need. So here are 3 ways you can do this without it being feeling like you're patronizing the person or just getting the wrong response. Number 1, when someone's talking to you and you know the talk is going to go a little bit longer than maybe 2 minutes. Hey, you want me to listen, or do you want feedback? I just want to support you in the way you need supported right now. It may throw people off at the beginning because people are not used to being asked, what do you need in this moment? Because sometimes as an adult, we don't know what we need. I learned this even from kids. My daughter will be crying and running. She could fall and run, and me kissing her bruise will make it better. I'm like, this magic kiss didn't kiss the bruise. What she needed was, I need to feel safe at this moment. I need to feel comforted at this moment, and then I'm okay. So asking the first thing I would do is ask people, do you need to be heard, you need to vent, or do you need advice? A lot of times people don't even need the advice. They just want to be heard. And once they're heard, they might even come with the advice themselves, or they might ask you after. But we want to be in a place where we help people how they want to be helped, because we want people to help us the way we want to be helped. For men, for the ladies who are listening to this, for men, a lot of times men aren't looking for you to give them the solution immediately. They're looking to be heard or validated. And that validation could even be, man, I hear you. That is a lot that you're facing. I'm appalled that you're able to handle that much. And then they'll go on and give you more information. So first one will be asking them, what do you need? Do you need to be supported? Do you need advice? Do you need to vent? Ask them what they need. Number 2 is ask more questions when you're talking to somebody. This is how you get to the underlying issue. What do you mean by you don't feel anyone loves you? What made you start feeling that way? When did you start feeling that way? No, you're not turning into a therapist. You're not turning into, I actually like her, our TV superstar, Dr. Ayala. You're more so allowing yourself to not run to get the solution because it may be uncomfortable for you listening to someone go through something, or you're not running to get the solution because you feel you need to pull them out. That's not your job. Asking more questions may allow you to see that what they're really talking about isn't really the real issue. I learned this with weight loss with people in working out, and the person who goes from not working out at all to trying to do 6 days a week immediately usually stops by week 3. It's too much. It's too fast. It's too much trying to change a habit just from external things versus changing the habit from inward response or inward decision. So usually I've seen it so many times. Hey, I'm ready to lose 20 pounds. I'll do 6 days a week. I'll eat salad only. And you're like, that's not gonna be sustainable. It's not gonna work. But yeah, I'm determined this time. And my thought in my head used to be, they are determined. They're about to do it. Until I got some wisdom. And I realized nothing changed inwardly, so they're going to be right back at their default when something hits them hard. And once you go back to your default, it's really more so like you're back at square one. So what I would do is I would challenge people by giving them an inward question or questions to consider. And then when they would consider it, I'd ask them, do you need help with that? So one of the questions I would ask is, what are you going to do when everything does not work? So now you're being realistic. What are you going to do when everything doesn't work? Because if you know anything about weight loss, anything about growth, it's not linear. You don't wake up and be like, tomorrow I'm going to make 10K a month, and you just make it. No, there are zigzags, there are barriers, there are detours, all of that stuff. I asked them, what are you going to do when everything doesn't work? The second thing I asked them, what are you going to do when your motivation completely dies? Because that's going to happen. And then number 3, what is changing inside of you that's going to make you keep up with this after 90 days? And you might say, Drew, you may lose a customer that way. No, you're going to lose them in 3 weeks if you're doing weight loss or fitness. You're going to lose them in 3 weeks if you don't have conversations like this. Because they're literally going to just jump off this trend to the next trend. But if I have a conversation like that, they actually stop and realize, I can keep my excitement, but I need some strategy behind this because something is going to always come up. Something is going to stop me and I need help. And then thirdly, when someone needs help, realize that how you receive help may not be the same way that they receive help. You might like help in the place of always checking up on me, always calling, always texting, smothering. Some people like that. Some people are like, hey, once a week, hit me up. Or some people are like, just give me the advice. There are certain people in my life, when I talk to them, I just want their advice because they're so good at giving advice. There are certain people who are really terrible in my life at giving advice, but they're amazing at just sitting with me or taking a silent walk. And that's totally different. So you have to find, I don't want to say your tribe, but find out what you may need may not be what they need. Now, for me to tell somebody, let's take a silent walk. For someone who's nervous of silence, that would literally be worse. That would literally be chiming at them all day, every day. Somebody who, like me, who loves silence, it may be beneficial. So finding out what they want from you. Now, before you get out of here, before you leave, make sure you subscribe. And lastly, for those who listen to these podcast episodes and you're thinking, I can do what Drew's doing. I have a message. I have a topic that I want to share. I want you to consider making a podcast. And guess what? I can help you from A to Z. How to start it, how to launch it, and how to grow it. And you can get that information on go.drewcost.com. Be great, guys. I'm out. I cannot say thank you enough for listening to this episode. Do me a favor, subscribe and share it with a friend. Help us help more people as we share a message of getting unstuck with real life problems with real people solving them. Be great.